Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of House Bill 2328. Folks, the previous administration held power for 8 years, and our colleagues on the other side of the aisle were in the majority for 4 of those 8 years. With all due respect, during that period of time, some of the suggestions that I heard tonight were not enacted. We hear all the railing with respect to Marcellus Shale. During the years that Governor Rendell was in charge, there was no severance tax or impact fee enacted. During the years that Governor Rendell was in charge with our colleagues, there was no smokeless tobacco tax enacted. For that matter, we had much talk with respect to transportation infrastructure investment. Transportation infrastructure investment never happened. For all the talk about quote unquote closing the Delaware loophole, closing the Delaware loophole never happened under Governor Rendell and when our colleagues were in charge. And in fact, with respect to contributions, responsible contributions to the pension systems for state employees and for teachers across the state, a gimmick was enacted that in fact reduced responsible contributions to the pension systems for our existing employees and retirees under Governor Rendell's administration and while our colleagues were in charge. Let's talk about responsible governance. Responsible governance is balancing the burdens on the taxpayers, citizens, employers, paying that burden of well over $29 billion in annual state taxes. And in addition, we have been about prioritizing those hard-earned dollars to provide for the highest public education spending ever in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, for taking care of those in the billions and billions of dollars for those with intellectual disabilities, and for those seniors who we provide long-term care and a variety of other services. And how have we done it? Well, the fact of the matter is, with respect to growing the economy, we have been prudent, fiscally responsible, and prioritized state spending on the most vulnerable in our society and on making sure that we have an outstanding public education system focused on kids. Now, I often hear about these corporate tax cuts. Folks, we in fact closed, under this governor, the Delaware loophole, shutting out sham transactions. That was never done, as I said, under Governor Rendell's administration. We in fact invested billions of dollars into transportation infrastructure. That was never done under Governor Rendell's administration. We imposed an impact fee on Marcellus Shale extraction to the tune of over $200 million annually, with revenues going to both the local communities, as they should be, and to the state for important environmental remediation programs as part of our budget. The changes we have made with respect to business taxes were the exact same changes that were done under Governor Ridge, a Republican, under Governor Rendell, a Democrat, and now again under Governor Corbett. Many of us on both sides of the aisle stood at press conferences saying that we needed to help manufacturers by increasing caps on net operating losses, which we did under 3 governors, moving our corporate net income tax to sales and away from punishing employers who hire people or who put assets here, so we went to single sales. And with respect to the capital stock and franchise tax, the second tax on business, Governor Rendell decreased those mills far more and was headed to zero, where in fact in the last budget we slowed the phase out down. We have been nothing but responsible. We have been fiscal stewards. And why? We have been fiscal stewards because with respect to the Department of Public Welfare, we realize that there are those who are exceptionally vulnerable. And so we have over $1 billion for intellectual disabilities and community waiver programs, $150 million for intellectual disabilities for community-based programs, and $150 million for intellectual disabilities with intermediate care facilities. We have, for county child welfare, well over $1 billion, an increase of 2.5%. We have money for early intervention, autism intervention and services. We, in terms of long-term managed care, over 91 million, and for home and community-based services for seniors, well over 100 million. These are important expenditures for those most vulnerable, and we reach that highest number ever of $10.5 billion for public education, K through 12. And guess what? We do it without raising taxes, and by doing it under the rate of inflation, because we are fiscally prudent, recognizing we have a responsibility to the taxpayers, the citizens and employers who are creating economic growth while still meeting the needs of the most vulnerable. We have been about governing. We will have our 4th on-time budget because those receiving those dollars need predictability and stability. That was never done once in 8 years under the previous administration. Not once. And every single one of you, when you see your neighbors, what's the most important thing? The most important thing you know for a strong family and a strong community? Family sustaining jobs. So we have a growth in the economy, 250,000 new jobs in the last 3.5 years, and an unemployment rate of 5.6%, down from when we took office in 2011 at 8.2%. It's now down to 5.6%. And we recognize that the dignity of work and taking care of your family and helping out at the United Way and the Little League and Church and paying your taxes and expecting responsible, on-time government balancing the needs of the citizens with the burden on the taxpayers, that's what people want, and that's what we have delivered for our 4th straight year. Please vote yes.